topics for today. Teikametrics and Carbon6 are co-hosting this webinar titled 3 Wins and Sins for Boosting Profitability. I'll get more into what this means, but before we talk about what this means, let's talk about who the heck we are. So I'll introduce myself first, and I'll pass it over to Clayton and Allie. My name is Jason McGee, and I'm Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships at Teikametrics. I've been in the Amazon, Walmart e-com space for the last 11 years. I've been at Teikametrics going on 6 years, which is a lifetime in the world of e-com. And I'm excited to take you all through our session today. Clayton, tell the world who you are, man.
Yeah, I'm Clayton Atchison. I'm Director and General Manager at Pixelme. I've been at Carbon6 for about 2.5 years now, which doesn't sound like super long, but Carbon6 just had its 3rd birthday. So I've seen a lot of change over the time. I work, as you can imagine, primarily on Pixelme. My background is started in Amazon to eBay arbitrage business back in 2014. That went well. And then I launched a private label company in 2018. So I'm an Amazon seller myself, and I spend less time these days talking directly with Amazon sellers because I'm spending a lot more time with my team these days. So I really look forward to things like this where we get to share some insights and I get to hear from people in the community. So looking forward to it. Allie, you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. So I'm Alexandra Ramirez, better known as Allie. I've actually been in the e-com industry for about 4.5 years now. Previously in the fintech space, and have been at Carbon6 now for about 1.5 years, which is crazy to think also because 1.5 years, like Clayton said, doesn't sound like a lot, but we've seen a lot of like positive and amazing change in a very short time. So very excited to be here and talk to everyone about a little bit of everything between Carbon6 and Teikametrics and what we've been up to.
I forgot where we were. All I looked at was Lori Baum saying that she got the total eclipse yesterday. So hats off to you, Lori. There we go. Live audience here. I love it. So session today, we're going to try and keep it very, very educational, not fluff. There's going to be some obvious aspects that we favor because, you know, we're biased humans. But at the end of the day, my thoughts are if this were 2020, 2021, maybe 2022, revenue mattered. Everybody wanted to grow revenue as much as humanly possible. That changed a lot. I mean, the macroeconomic factors, the unit economics of selling on Amazon, Walmart, etc. Profitability is king. You can't take ACoS, ROAS, to even total revenue to the bank. You got to take profit to the bank. So we want to talk to you all about how we can make sure you all bring more profit to your bank. So let me start here. Can you all, there we go. Now, I'm not going to play the noise. I just want to say that if you can see this here, if you want to win on Amazon, you have to win hour by hour. Every single hour, Amazon results change. I mean, it's even more frequent than that, but we weren't going to create a 24-hour video by the minute. This is an example of search terms where organic rank changes, paid rank changes. So if you're not equipped to handle optimization on an hour-by-hour basis, you're already playing from behind. Doesn't mean you have to win every single hour. It just means that you need to know when to strike. And if you're not looking at this very frequently or you don't have a system set up, it's going to be really tough for you to really scale profitably when it matters most. But at the same time, not only do you have to win hour by hour, you have to win SKU by SKU. You need to make sure you have inventory. If you don't have inventory and you accelerate ads, your investment in ads, it's a kiss of death because you're going to stock out and you're going to lose organic rank. If you're not priced appropriately, then obviously you're going to hurt on conversions and profit. But also, if you have the greatest advertisement in the world, if you have the strategy, if you have amazing inventory, what happens if your listings aren't optimized? It's going to be a tree falling down in the woods, and you're not going to convert a single thing. So, Clayton, Allie, anything you want to add to that in terms of like how heightened a sense of awareness that sellers and brands need to have?
I would say that, you know, just very generally, the game is evolving quickly. Back in 2018, when I first started selling private label, it was a lot easier, a lot less complicated. And just like any other vertical, this is maturing, and the players that are going to win and going to create profit, not just revenue, to your point, Jason, are the ones that are going to obsess over the details, like the hour by hour. So I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it changes so fast. So not only do you need to win hour by hour and SKU by SKU, I mean, if anybody's been looking at any of the message boards or LinkedIn or whatever, the challenge is channels like Amazon, they're actually taking more revenue. Like you saw the increased fees. Mm-hmm. And I understand it, but ultimately, sellers and brands who are trying to scale a business there, it's tough to do. Competition is very high. So enough of that. Let's actually talk about what the heck you can do about it. So I'm going to start with a win. So we're going to optimize, or there we go. There's my Teikametrics brain. We're going to oscillate between wins and sins here. I think number one is aligning budgets and KPIs based on seasonality. I think this is important because right now it's April. Before you know it, June and July are going to be here, and we're going to have Prime Day coming. But also, this is the start of the springtime. So anybody who is seasonally dependent or index for the spring, or maybe you sell something winter where it's the opposite for you, have to think about aligning your budgets and your goals based on seasonality. So what do I mean by that? This is just an example of the traffic and ads budget, how it sort of fluctuates throughout the year. In general, for somebody who starts to peak in Q4. Again, if you took this at every individual category, like somebody who's selling seeds or flowers, is going to be a lot different than somebody who's selling, winter boots. The whole point here is that you need to make sure that you're ahead of the curve, not by months, but multiple months. Like you should be planning for Prime Day now. It's honestly almost too late to even plan for spring at the moment because, we're already in it. So you need to really look at this not only quarter by quarter, month by month, week by week, but hour by hour. But obviously at high level, let's actually get more specific about that. So I just want to give you an example of Prime Day. I think this is something everybody on this call can impact right this very second. But let's look at cost per click. So what does the data show us here if we're looking at Prime Day pre and post, which is July 11th and 12th? So what do you see? Clayton, I know you and I were talking backstage here, but you see, without even knowing which day Prime Day was, you said, hey, Jason, I bet it was 11th and 12th of July, right?
Yeah, there's huge demand and there's an increased competition. Everybody wants to heighten the revenues on those days and hopefully create profit. But yeah, like that, the highest spike. Yeah, it looks like the 12th. And right before that, almost the second highest in that whole 15-day span.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So you look at this objectively, like, oh my God, CPCs went through the roof. But you actually got to calculate it. In actuality, CPCs in aggregate, cost per click only increased 9.5% on Prime Day. So let's dive deeper because a lot of people would see this, like, I've heard this before. I'm not going to advertise on Prime Day. It's too competitive. Not even worth it. Let's look at ACOS. So what do you see when you see the ACOS? The inverse, right? ACOS, remember, lower is better, like golf. It went from a 21, give or take, down to a 15, 16. So it looks like it's improved, but by how much? ACOS improved 21.2%. So think about this, like in Clayton, this is going to be rhetorical, but you're a seller, so you would get that. Like, would you rather not have anything happen? Or if I could tell you, hey man, I'm going to add 21, 22% improvement in efficiency, but it's going to cost you 9% more on your clicks. Would you not take that all day?
Yeah, all day.
All day, baby. So the other one is, let's consider the impact continued. Look at these conversion rates versus ROAS. They spike. Again, higher number, the better here. Conversion rates spike up, so does ROAS. So let's look at the numbers. What does that data tell you? In this particular scenario, ROAS improved by 21%. Conversion rate jumped to 21% as well. So is it really more expensive to increase ad spend during Prime Day? Yes. No, maybe. It depends. Like, there's a bunch of caveats here. It depends on the category you're selling in. It depends on actually, I've seen this note here. Tanvir Malik. Tanvir said, if the conversion rate is strong, I'm not as concerned about rising CPCs. 100% agree. Like, that is the right way to think about it. So we'll come back to that, and we'll probably have some more questions to answer later. But that's one thing I wanted to consider. And the reason why this matters is my take is if the supply is greater than the demand during certain periods of seasonality like Prime Day, that means that there's more consumer traffic that has purchase intent than there is advertisers vying for that space. So for big events like Black Friday, Prime Day, Walmart deal days, etc., individual metrics do not tell the story. I think, Clayton, you mentioned to me earlier, was like, hey, dude, it's not just one metric. It's looking at them all together, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm oversimplifying it, but yeah, of course. 10 viewers,
Yeah.
like, obviously we have some smart people on the call that understand the importance of looking at more than just one metric.
Yeah.
It's like combining them to make sure you're making money, not just revenue.
Exactly. So for us, it's like consider increasing budgets to capture the demand, flex your ACoS ROAS or whatever ROI metric you use because you're going to win sales and be more efficient. Why? One thing that's different about shopping behavior during certain seasonal events, Amazon is a place where you search, click, buy. But when it comes to Prime Day, consumers are looking for a really good deal. They're not just going to go to the first 3 organic slots. They're actually going to look at the entire page, maybe even multiple pages. So it's not, while it's really about winning the top organic placement on search terms, during places like Prime Day, it's just good to have presence because you're going to have an outsized return. There's my shameless plug. Find a company that can actually look at data on an hourly basis. So I'll give this, this is a leave behind. This is a sin now. Do not bid if the return isn't statistically worth it. Here's an example that I think is really, really important. Not only every quarter, every month, every week, every single day, your conversion rate fluctuates. How somebody purchases a stapler between the hours of 9 to 10 a.m. is different than 10 to 11 p.m. at night. The way somebody purchases a fish oil on Wednesday is different to Thursday. This purple line is an actual conversion rate of one of our customers. This gray line is our ability to proactively predict conversion rate. So we'll talk more about that later. This isn't supposed to be a shameless plug. I'm just telling you why this matters so darn much. So for us, this is how bids should be. If the value is there because your average order value is high, your likelihood of converting is high, you should increase your bid. And the opposite happens if you think about the other side. If the conversion rate is very low, or you're going to get a bunch of clicks and with actually no sales, don't bid as high. Like, your bid should look like this. That is bidding to value. If you think about anything above this line, you're overbidding on and wasting money. Everything below it, you're underbidding and you're missing opportunities to get sales that you deserve that are efficient. So our approach is we actually, on an hourly basis, are looking at seasonality, time of day, day of the week, your location, ad type, your price point. This is the way we see the world. If we know for every one product, there are 100 search terms that can generate revenue, every one of those search terms is going to have a different level of searchability, conversion, etc. Our approach, which I don't care if you don't use us for this, but think about not just the price point of your product, your average order value. If you run a bunch of promotions, the price isn't $20, it's $15. If every third person buys 2 of them, it's not $20, maybe it's $28. What we do best is predicting the conversion rate, real time every hour. So you're not underbidding, but you're not overbidding where you're crushing profitability. So this is an example. We're happy to give an analysis, but you should analyze this yourself too. If you were to plot out all your bids, what percentage of the time are you overbidding? What percentage of the time are you underbidding? So lastly, and Clayton, this is going to be a very good transition because I know this is a lot of what Pixelme is able to do. But I think far too often, people don't align their campaign structure in their budget based on shopper segmentation. So for shopper segmentation, let's assume that Clayton and Jason have C&J alarm clocks here. We need to separate out people who know about C&J alarm clocks. So they're going to try and buy one of our products because they know our name. They're searching for something they already know they want. Versus, hey, I want to buy Allie alarm clocks. So let's steal market share from her, Clayton, which would be fun to do. But then the other one is 78% of search terms are generic. So if you're not building a structure that protects your brand, then goes aggressively after competitors, and also generic population, which is the biggest factor in terms of the biggest pull, you're not going to be able to drive incremental revenue. So like I wanted to give an example here. This is an example. I'm just using Dr. Squatch as an example. Not to say they do this, unrelated data, but just giving an example here. The left-hand side is the ad spend, and the right-hand side is the ad sales. If this customer, let's pretend we're Dr. Squatch, like I care about incrementality. Can I get a new client here? Well, in this case, that pink, 82% of their spend is on their own brand. 94% of their revenue is coming from branded search. How are you going to get an incremental sale from advertising when 94% of customers already looked for you by name? And think about, Clayton, how often do you see somebody maybe on their own website, like paying for a sale or a customer or a prospect, and then they go to Amazon and look up a branded search as well? Like, are they not double, triple paying in your opinion there?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That happens all the time where people are bidding on Google ads and sending it to their D2C. Even if you have buy with Prime on your D2C site, some people do a clever thing, which is they use an Amazon attribution tag inside their own site and say, if you want to go buy this on Amazon, then they get a 10% kickback, which helps, offset that advertising from Google or elsewhere on the internet. But yeah, there is this balance that you have to play. And that's why I say to A/B test everything. But there's a balance you have to try to find where you're not letting your competitors eat your lunch by going after your brand name. But at the same time, it's important to check your new to brand analytics whenever using external traffic at all. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Those things are going to show up organically as well. If you're the main brand, you have to be careful about what your goals are, understand your LTV of your customer, reorder rate. But if you're paying for a Google click or a Bing click, and then they're just going to Amazon and researching it again, then you're paying for an Amazon click. That's a lot of clicks to pay for somebody that already wanted your brand in the first place.
That's exactly right. So let's give some examples here. Clayton, let's say that let's say me and you have those alarm clocks. So we have a regular standard alarm clock. If I'm going to bid on my own brand, maybe we have the super duper alarm clock that literally presents a hologram on the ceiling. If that is like 5 times the price point, maybe I want to conquest my own search term to sell a higher price item. So that's some incrementality there. But the other one is if you mentioned LTV, like what if you were like a repeat purchase product? Like, I don't know, going back to vitamins again. If you lose money on the ad sale initially, but what happens if you get the LTV is so big that you capture that in the second, third, fifth, sixth purchase? Like that's
exactly. That's why it's important to understand. Like I'm looking at this slide and I'm seeing Dr. Squatch, right? That's like a soap. Yeah. That is the definition of a subscribe and save item, something that you hope you get a customer for forever, that they buy, every month for the next 25 years. But yeah, you have to understand your LTV. And I'm not sure inside of Teikametrics if you guys can help track LTV, but I know that there's a lot of supplement companies that we work with that I'll ask that question. I'll say, do you understand your reorder rate? Do you understand your new to brand like acquisition versus, like repeat buyers? And do you understand your LTV? And a lot of times the answer is no. And at the end of the day, that's what I was getting to in my earlier point, is that as this Amazon selling world matures, the people that are really into the data and understand these metrics, those are going to be the people that succeed.
Yeah. I mean, we track LTV, especially using AMC, as the Amazon Marketing Cloud, to actually not only see LTV, but but also path to purchase. So it's not linear. But that's just, it's an important thing to consider. Absolutely. Because if you're selling a weight bench, I don't know how often, I don't know, Clayton, you look fit. Maybe you buy a new weight bench every year. But dude, I buy maybe one every 5 years, maybe 10 years. So you got to think about the category you're in, if there's a repeat purchase ability, or not even repeat purchase, but complementary items. Think about Keurig. Keurig can sell the main device, but then they can upsell additional pods, the reusable pods, all sorts of things like that. So you really got to take a look. Again, Clayton, myself, but there's also others that are maybe call it competitors. Find an expert that can talk you through this and what you should do about it. I just wanted to give one last example before I go to Clayton fully, but what happens if you invest too much in your own brand and too much of your revenue comes from brand on ads? You can get into a scenario like this, where in this case, 52% of all of this brand's revenue comes from advertising. Ideally, it should be between 25 to 35% of your total revenue should be ads driven. So you want to look at your ad share of sales, but also your tacos. What percentage of your total revenue is invested in ads? So I'm off my soapbox, happy to dive in deeper, but I would love to transition over to you, Clayton and Allie, to talk about the opportunities that exist with Carbon 6.
Yeah, I'll let Allie take this part over.
I'll take this one. We want to move over from some of the sins that we just talked about and move into a win. And this one's really exciting because it's one that we've actually partnered with Teikametrics on, and it's winning with your reimbursements and comprehensive reimbursements. And if we think about the size of an Amazon warehouse, it's definitely made for speed. It's not made for accuracy because, number one, the sheer volume of things that are shipped and moved and have to check into a warehouse on a daily basis is just, of course, not optimized for accuracy. And because of that, about 1% of FBA sellers are missing or incorrectly accounting for their Amazon reimbursements. So we've actually found that 99% of sellers are owed money, even if they're using another service or even if they're using their own. And the reason why is because of how complicated it is to actually do this, how many steps need to be involved, and then how many things you actually need to know, whether it's your TOS and every single step. And we'll go into that in just a minute. Can we do the next slide?
I'm on it. I'm a really bad Vanna White. I nailed the first one, Allie.
You're on it.
I know I'm over here replying to the chat because people are active over there. So anyway.
Talking about like these cases. So if we think about how many cases we can actually submit for reimbursements, and this is something that any FBA seller can do themselves, or they can use a service like the one that Carbon 6 and Teika have partnered up to do together. These are just a select few of categories, but we've got the major ones are inbound shipments, lost items, damaged items, customer returns, as well as overages and discrepancies. And each one of these has its own subcategories. So very, very large number of actual categories that we can go after, which makes it very hard to actually find every single one if you're not using a team like ours. Here's an example in dollars of how much we can actually see. So we'll actually go ahead and go down per column. So per every $1 million of your GMV, if we do just inbound shipments, we've found that an average is about $7,700 just in inbound shipments. Now for lost, around $3,400. For damage, around $350, and for customer returns, $700. This is in the first 12 months of recovery. So if you are currently not recovering money, this is what you can expect for every $1 million of your GMV over the first 12 months. Could be about 1.2%, around $12,000. Now, we just said that it's only for the 12 months of recovery, right? We also do a look back period. So what we do is actually do a free audit, as we do a free audit with a few different things, and so does Teika. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But our free audit will allow us to do a full look back period. So the past 18 months, we can see if there's any additional things that we can find on the table. That typically for every $1 million means an extra 3.3 $3,500 for every million. So that potential is very large that we can find within our audits, whether you're using another service or using your own internal team. Next slide.
Oh, I was getting you. There we go.
You're almost there. So this is what the actual process entails. So if you want to have a comprehensive recovery process, and why it's important to use a service like ours is the first thing is knowing the TOS. You want to make sure that you know every rule and engagement, which ones can actually be done and in which way into what actual team, to ensure that your account health is always safe. We never want your account health to be in danger. And that's something that we familiarize ourselves very well with, and we are fully TOS compliant. Another thing is identifying the losses. So you would have to download a huge ledger of settlement reports, of inventory reports, and actually see the losses that are occurring in a warehouse, to then submit each of those to Seller Central. Once you do find your losses, you want to see which are per category. As we mentioned earlier, there are multiple categories, so you'd have to understand which one and what category. You sometimes have to deliver proof of delivery or proof of inventory in those cases. Then you have to monitor those cases, because sometimes they'll ask for additional information or ask for specifications on the case that was submitted, and rinse and repeat. So it's a very, very long process, but our team makes it extremely seamless so that you don't have to do this rinse and repeat yourself. So here's one of the wins. That's another little shameless plug, but it's just a really easy way for you to recover additional money. And we have a little special offer for everyone on the call towards the end of the call. We'll pass over the next win to Clayton.
Yeah, hi everybody. Sorry about my video lagging. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I did a speed test and it looks like I got the best internet of all time, but obviously not. So yeah, the first win here is to improve your rank. And when I say rank, I mean Amazon organic rank, and your return on ad spend with Amazon attribution for external ads. So I'll explain a little bit about why external traffic matters so much. And simply said, it's because Amazon thinks that it matters. Amazon spent many, many millions of dollars creating what they call Amazon attribution to give people transparency for when they are sending traffic from Google to Amazon, or from Facebook to Amazon, or from anywhere online to Amazon. And they wanted to incentivize people so badly that they created a 10% brand referral bonus in the United States. So they said, if you send traffic from anywhere outside of Amazon onto Amazon, and that turns into a sale, we'll give you 10% of that purchase price back to you. Amazon's smart. They did that to compete with the Shopifys of the world. They knew that their 15% referral fee wasn't super attractive to sellers that also have their own D2C Shopify store. So they specifically built this to try to get as much traffic as possible from outside of Amazon onto Amazon. They have competitors too, Walmart, TikTok, etc. And I'm a huge believer in external traffic increasing the organic rank of products on Amazon. But it's not just me that believes that. As you can see from this slide, Elevate Brands, Seller App, Be Bold, and a whole lot of other brands have run similar experiments that we have. And what we see is that external traffic has an outsized, unfair advantage compared to on Amazon traffic. And there is an obvious reason for that. If you're a shopper on Amazon.com, Amazon doesn't care a whole lot, going back to Jason's idea, is if you buy Allie's alarm clock or Jason and Clayton's alarm clock, they're going to make their money either way. Mm-hmm. They already own that client. Now, that said, there are a lot of important optimizations you need to make on Amazon advertising. But as I've kind of parroted and repeated, if you're going to win in 2024 and beyond, you have to play the game from all angles. And one thing Amazon cares a lot about, or they wouldn't have spent so much money building Amazon attribution, is external traffic. So we can go to the next slide.
Real quick, I wanted to comment on this too. So looking pure, forget about external traffic for a sec, we'll get there, but let's build up from there. Amazon, Walmart, these channels, Think about if you're on Google and you're just advertising on Google to go right back to Google or your website, you're renting space there. The moment you stop paying rent, you're going to drop off. You're actually like investing in a mortgage and building equity within Amazon if you're advertising. So Amazon cares less about whether it was advertised or not. They actually care whether it was relevant and did it lead to a click. So not only does ads on Amazon help you rank better organically because you're putting a coin in the piggy bank of their algorithm that you deserve to rank better organically, channels like this will love if you're taking external traffic, paying money on them that you could route somewhere else, but you're routing it back to Amazon in this example. So if you think about it, I mean, fees are going up, but if you're routing traffic to Amazon, and you're getting that referral bonus, you're actually taking 10% off the top on whatever fees you are paying. I think that's just a really, really, really smart move. So Clayton, I just wanted to highlight that fact because you struck gold with that comment, man.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it a lot, man.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide here.
And so I've already kind of said this, but essentially anytime you send external traffic from Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it can be an email, it can be a blog, and you send it to Amazon, they give you a 10% brand referral bonus. To Jason's point, and that's what I have written down here, which could lead to infinite return on ad spend. We have 100 or so clients, usually with more expensive products, that if you can sell a $100 product, let's say, just for simple math, and every time you sell that, you're going to get $10 back. If you can get a CAC, customer acquisition costs, and Google ads for every $8 you spend, you're actually making $2 more than you ever would on a pure Amazon organic sale. This is more often with more expensive products, $50 and above, but we have hundreds of products that are now in this infinite return on ad spend situation where their ad spend is being outpaced by the brand referral bonus, which is a very, very cool situation to be in. And that's when you just expand the budget like crazy. But let's go on to
an absolute hack, man. Just an absolute hack. And I appreciate you guys bringing this up. So let's go with some sins here. Why not just spice it up a bit?
Yeah. So just like if you were running a D2C store, you would never just want to optimize for clicks unless you were just launching a product and you didn't really know your ideal customer profile. But when you own a D2C, a direct-to-consumer store like a Shopify, you always tell Google everything that happens once they land on your site. You tell them if a person clicked and arrived and left right away. You tell Google through API, programmatically, of course, you're not on the phone doing this. You tell Google, did this person purchase a product? Did they purchase two? Did they subscribe and save? And Google gets smarter and smarter and smarter over time, and they begin to optimize for conversion. So optimizing for clicks is not what you want to do. One of our softwares inside of Carbon 6 is called PixelMe. I'm the general manager of that tool. And it does not optimize for clicks except for the first couple of weeks as we learn about the customers that are clicking on our ads. So the sin part of this optimization for clicks is that it's generic traffic. You're not optimizing for things like age and gender. You're going to get clicks and you'll get some sales, but it's not an efficient way to spend ad dollars. And in the long term, getting back to the profit, it means less ROI and less money in your pocket. So do not optimize for clicks when at all possible. Optimize for conversion.
And just to play the flip side, because I know Rochelle had a good question. When would it maybe be okay to optimize for clicks? I know you touched on this a little bit, but I know this isn't a blanket. But when okay?
I mean, one, I would say generally, when you have a huge budget, it's when you could be launching a product and you're trying to get virality or just brand awareness, the voice of the customer, so to speak. But for most Amazon sellers that I work with, it rarely does make sense, but there are situations in which it can. And what I'll say is that in order to train any Google Ads campaign, you need to start somewhere. So in the beginning, and PixelMe has a lot of automations, we do optimize for clicks because we have to figure out what is the age range, and we can put some parameters if we have guesses, but at the end of the day, what you really want is for Google to figure it out for you. So that first couple of weeks where you're optimizing for clicks, it's an investment for a long-term strategy.
I think another way we look at this too is you guys, just like Teika, you're a data science company. And in order to actually optimize, you need statistically significant amount of data. So there is this bit of a learning period, whether it's a human, whether it's tech, whatever. Tech can just do it better than humans. Not to say it's man versus machine, it's a combination of both. But the more data you have, the quicker you can learn and optimize because you have that data. So it is a balance. But if you're able to get that traffic and apply those learnings more quickly because you have more learnings, you're in a better spot.
Absolutely. And if we go to the next slide, thank you. A win is just the opposite. It's to optimize for conversion. The next slide will say that you can optimize, with PixelMe software, we found a way to bridge the gap between Google and Amazon. That we've figured out that feedback loop. And we can optimize for things like age, gender, income level, super important, exact time of day, exact location, income level. Again, as if it wasn't already important enough. That's a typo on a slide is what that is. Marital status, and a lot more. So this is what you want to be doing if you're running external ads to Amazon. And of course, PixelMe will always automatically create Amazon attribution tags in every single ad you run. And we'll pull in the data from Google and from Amazon attribution so you can see all the reporting to see, is this campaign making me money? But getting back to the idea, and this is what's highlighted in pink here, is that the real goal is not just to always create a new profit stream directly from Google to Amazon, but feed that Amazon algorithm. Tell Amazon, hey, I'm deciding to send my traffic to Amazon. I could send it to Walmart. I could send it to my Shopify, but I'm sending it to Amazon. And when you do that, you're going to see an increase in organic rank. And that is where you can really make some serious money.
Not to mention just layering on Amazon's DSP. So the more data Amazon has, the more they know about your buyer. When you get the display, you can use demographic data like this. And then you can
this ties in well with DSP. You can retarget Amazon attribution people that come in through Amazon attribution and DSP.
Exactly. So, and again, I know we're talking about really meaty subjects and we're trying to make it deep enough, but not overly complex. Tinvir, I see your question on incrementality. We'll come back to it. But Ali or Clayton, do you mind talking about PixelMe's playbook?
Yeah. Listen, we have, and I don't know if this ends in 4 minutes and 18 seconds. It says it ends. So I don't know if it's going to kick us off. So I might fly here. But we have thousands of campaigns currently running, and we know what works and what doesn't. So I just tell people, running external traffic isn't always right for all products. I wouldn't do it if you have less than 4.3 stars, unless everybody in your category is in the same boat. I have seen that, at least from Google Ads, and Google Ads is so powerful because it's the same as Amazon. It's keyword based, right? You can target a keyword. And when you send that keyword from Google to Amazon, Amazon sees that, and that's what increases your keyword organic rank. But super shoppable stuff like diamond rings, jewelry, clothes, that's shown to be tough. So I tell people to, as far as like a sin would go, it'd be think twice or maybe get an expert to take a look at your products. And anything that's way above market price. The opposite of that is what does work. Above 4.3 star products. I make a joke like a hammer, right? Nobody's going to shop around for a hammer and click 20 different Amazon listings. They just got a nail. They want to put it through a wall. So higher impulse items do really well. Expensive products, like I mentioned, do fantastic because the 10% brand referral bonus is so powerful because the cost per click on Google does not scale with the price of a product. A $10 product probably has a $1 click. A $200 product probably has a $1 click. So expensive products have an advantage, but cheap items are incredible for ranking. And in certain situations, branded keywords can be very powerful.
We're also being promised it's not going to forcibly kick us out, but I know who to yell at if it does. But continuing on here, it's a great point.
Yeah, thank you. If you can just go back one, I think. Yeah. The other thing is that PixelMe automatically, you can add pixels and you can automatically build audiences that you can retarget. So if you're running a Google ad, you would in the future be able to retarget that person with a Facebook ad and vice versa, and with TikTok and with Instagram and with Bing and all other types of, ad platforms. The data behind retargeting is old. It's not new. People in big companies have been doing this for many years. It's why companies like Sephora and Gucci and Procter and Gamble have used PixelMe just for retargeting purposes, nothing to do with Amazon. And it's because retargeting customers are 70% more likely to convert. But getting that audience built in the first place isn't easy if you don't really know what you're doing. But PixelMe and our team can do that for you automatically, and it's built into our software. Conversion rates increase by an average of 200% after the 5th time a user sees an ad, and it increases brand awareness, it increases brand search, and long story short, it's one of the most efficient ways to spend ad dollars. So there's like a step 1 to rank your product, run Google ads, run Facebook ads, but then the next step is retarget. That's a huge value add that a lot of people, in today's market and the Amazon space simply aren't doing, and they should be.
Absolutely.
I think this next slide is summarizing very quickly. It's just saying you can't do this for all products. You have to track the results, be cost effective, and think long term. This QR code is a QR code that will get you a free PixelMe ASIN audit. So it will, if you scan that with your phone, you can enter in your ASINs, and we will have our expert team that will go through and have an automated scorecard that will tell you, yes, your product is right for PixelMe and for external advertising. Or you know what? Out of our thousands of current campaigns, we can tell you with a large degree of certainty that this is not going to end well. And we recommend adjusting this and doing X, Y, and Z before running external ads.
And don't worry, we're going to get to a slide where we take questions where it's going to be both of the QR codes. So don't worry if you didn't get it. But we just get a couple quick case studies, and then we'll go to Q&A.
Absolutely. So this one, I'll try to make it quick, is for products that are expensive, like I talked about. These are all products that are $75 and above. And PixelMe has a lot of automations, which is mentioned on this slide. We automatically decrease cost per clicks on keywords. Then after so many purchases, we automatically switch from optimizing for clicks to optimizing for conversion with a cost per action target. We walk that cost per action target down over time as as performance improves. We also automatically pause keywords, do keyword harvesting for search terms. There's a lot of automations. And this slide I love because this is one of my clients. And I did very little, to be honest. This is mostly the automations. I did do stuff, not taking away all my credit. But just in 4 weeks, we took the ACoS from 72% down to 12. This slide isn't updated, but it's now down to 2% ACoS. This is, again, with expensive products, but this is across 25 different products. And I think it's a testament to our scorecard and our understanding of which products perform extremely well and which ones do not. And then I think we have one more case study. This is not for expensive products. This is for a cheap one. We increased a bestseller rank from number 101 to number 4. We increased a keyword rank from number 11 to number 4 on a 75,000 search volume keyword, and we achieved 6.47% tacos from before they started with PixelMe of about 15%. So from a tacos perspective, this is pretty wild. And this is what you can do with $20 products. And this was not some small category. This over this period of time, which I believe was 90 days, they had $28 million in sales. So this customer has now added a lot more products to the catalog, and it's been an incredible ride to help people increase their organic rank. Here's another example of the same thing said differently. 15% tacos down to 6.47. If people are interested, I can send them about 28 different case studies from PixelMe clients, and we're making more every week. Last but not least, I want to tell you guys that Teikametrics and Carbon 6 have a joint free audit. Free information, and for anybody that signs up today, there's going to be 2 $100 gift cards, one from Teikametrics and one from Carbon 6. So 2 people that sign up for the free audit today will be entered into a random raffle, and 2 people will win $100 gift card. And separately, another QR code for what I mentioned before. If you want free information just on, so Tika will go over all the Amazon advertising ways you can improve, as well as a seller investigators audit through Carbon 6, so you can get all that money back that Ali talked about. But if you just want the PixelMe ASIN audit, there's a QR code over there too, where essentially we'll set you up, we'll do all the research for your products, and we'll tell you, yeah, this is a go. You have an incredible product for this strategy, or we'll say, probably not the best investment for you to make right now. And so would highly encourage everybody to go ahead and scan both of those QR codes.
I know we have, thank you, Clayton and Allie. I know we've gotten a bunch of questions to try to answer some. I know we get a few minutes left. Are there any additional burning questions you all like to ask us while we're here today?
I would like to just say one more thing that I believe there is, assuming everybody scanned these QR codes. I'm going to ask Jason to switch the slide. So if you haven't, last chance to scan these QR codes. But there's one more slide that might generate some questions as well. And that is a free organic white paper about how to rank organically on Amazon. So this was a quick run through, right? I did my best to summarize, explain what Pixelme can do and how helpful it can be for increasing rank and decreasing tacos. But if you want a lot more in-depth information that came out of mine and other very smart people's brains, smarter than me, then that white paper is a very, very useful thing to check out. And then, yeah, Jason, 100% agree. Let's go ahead and get to any questions we have. I think that's the final slide.
Yeah. There's a couple questions there in the chat, one for you, Clayton, and I think one's for you, Jason. If you want, we can start with Clayton's. What rank range would be ideal before you start wanting to be concerned with profitability?
Who was that asked that question?
Rachel Mew.
Or Rachel asked that one, yeah.
What rank range would be ideal before you start wanting to be concerned with profitability? Not sure I completely understand the question, but what I would say that is part of what goes into our scorecard for ranking, is that if you're ranked 150 on a keyword, we might be able to move you up to 75 or 50, but will that really move the needle for you? Probably not. So what we usually see is that when you're ranked somewhere in the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, even in the 70s, that's where we can really make a big difference for you. So if you're going after a high volume search keyword, it gets down to, again, doing the math. What are your margins? How much green space or white space, so to speak, is there? If you ranked 15 today on a 70,000 search volume keyword, what would your bottom line look like if you were selling the same amount of volume that the person that's ranking number 5 look like? So there's some math around there, and I don't want to give you like a generic answer because I think that's the wrong way to lead you. I think that it gets down to, and we do that at Pixelme, calculating and estimating how much more money you would make if you increased your organic rank on a specific keyword, and can you actually increase your organic rank on that keyword? If you're ranked 150, it's going to take a while to get up into that top 10. But if you're ranked in the 20s or 30s, we've seen, quick turnaround for getting people into the top 10 when they're close to the top 10, but not in it.
I think one thing that's important to note is do not fall into the keyword fallacy trap. What I mean by that is I'll give you a couple data points. Less than 1% of search terms on Amazon generate more than 3 clicks a day. Let me repeat that. Less than 1% of search terms on Amazon generate more than 3 clicks per day. And if you flip it, the classic 80-20 rule, the top 20% of search terms are going to generate 80% of the revenue for a particular product. So you got to ask yourself, does this search term actually generate enough volume? And if it does, is that one of the key search terms that either do or could lead to the majority of my sales? Or are you spending so much time trying to go down this keyword rabbit hole where you might be the #1 organic rank, but the amount of traffic, clicks, and conversions aren't going to move the needle, to Clayton's point?
Yep. I see another question from Rob. He said, I think he said, thank you, Alex, because you got back to him on a question, and then said, is there a 10% referral fee for external traffic that converts for 1P brands? The answer to that, Rob, is unfortunately not, because in that case, Amazon is the seller, technically. But Amazon and 1P sellers do still get Amazon attribution, so we can still track to see what the results of the external campaign are. But there is another thing that we can do by manipulating in a TOS compliant way. This is fully okay. The SMID of the link, so we can guarantee that you land in the buy box. If Amazon and you, like let's say the manufacturer and Amazon both sell the same product, we can guarantee that Amazon ends up in the buy box. And that's what some wholesalers want. They want exactly that because they make more money because of what they've negotiated with their contracts. But if they want to sell it and get the brand referral bonus and they're also a seller, we can guarantee that when they come from Google Ads or anywhere else, that they are in the buy box. And in that case, you can get the 10% brand referral bonus.
We've got two more. Sorry, Jason. We've got two more questions from Tanvir. I don't know if the first one was already done. How can one measure incrementality effectively, particularly in the context of marketing strategies or campaign performance evaluation? That's the first one.
It's a great one, Tanvir. So there's a few ways. One, you have to define incrementality. Incrementality can be defined as, if I'm spending on a branded term, can I generate an outsized basket and can I generate a larger basket size through branded search? That's one. The other one is, can I would I ever would have gotten this sale if I did not advertise? So if you think about the branded search first, this is example if you have like new models or new versions or increased attributes where, like, let's say that I'm a camera company and I have my one model, camera model 1 versus camera model 2.0. If somebody searches for camera 1.0, you may want to actually put your camera 2.0 ASINs or SKUs to capitalize on the 1.0 traffic, to migrate them to a new purchase of a newer version or an increased basket size. That's number one. Number two is incrementality. One, if you go after a competitor term, you can confidently say, between the obvious, but also through AMC and tracking, you never would have gotten that sale if you didn't advertise that. But the other one you could do is do an A/B test or an incrementality test where you literally have two same products or similar products where you stop advertising on one altogether and you advertise on the other, and you set KPIs pre and post. Tanvir, that's a pretty deep one. Let's table that and we can come back to you on that one.
He also had a second question. I think this one will be for Clayton. Are there any alternative strategies or tactics that will complement external traffic efforts to improve organic ranking on Amazon listings?
Yeah, I think this, and then I also saw Jackie's question, so I'll grab a couple of these real fast. Yeah, and this was from
also Tanvir.
Yeah, so I think that this all has to fit together in this day and age. Like, I'm not even trying to be a doomsday person. I'm saying that there is more competition on Amazon than there ever has been before. You need to get alignment with your Amazon advertising strategies and your external to Amazon advertising strategies. The biggest one I would say is retargeting. If you're going to just target, you've already paid for that first click. That's going to be the most expensive click ever to you if it never converts. But if you can get a second click and a third click from that same person, you're going to see conversion rates increase. You're going to see ROI improve. And so what I would say is that, external traffic can't fix a bad product or a bad overall strategy. If you don't have your own Amazon advertising figured out and your external advertising figured out, somebody else will figure it out in the future. So I think it goes back to making sure that your listings are optimized completely. I think it goes back to making sure that you're doing all the things that Jason talked about. It's a more competitive world. And so let me know if you want me to expand on that, Tanvir. I'd be happy to get on a meeting with you and give you even more ideas. But the other question.
No, I was just saying, I think that we need to get some personal time with Tanvir because those are phenomenal questions.
Yeah.
Last one.
Do you think spinning a can have it?
Sorry, we're spinning a little bit. I think we got time for one more, if that's okay. Let's go with Jackie's. And then Jackie and team, I'll put my email here. So if anybody wants to email me with a follow-up question, there's my email. The last one, do you think spending a lot on a competitive keyword with unprofitable A costs can have an adverse influence on organic? My heart of hearts, no, because relevancy is based on that search term to your product. So if let's say that I am selling coffee mugs here as an example, if I'm going after Yeti and I'm not Yeti, maybe it doesn't help me on the Yeti term, or it's harder because of the relevancy. It's not going to affect how I rank on organic stone made coffee mug, except and I spilled it all over my keyboard. But I think it's really about if it's an important search term for you, especially one that's related to a product spec, size of your mug, makeup of your mug, like whether it's clay versus, I don't know, pottery versus like metal or tin or whatever. It really is going to matter more in terms of the search terms that really matter to your business. I would be more worried if you don't have an optimized listing and you start driving traffic on a really important search term for you, but you're not able to convert because your listing's in a terrible spot.
I would say that from the external traffic standpoint, I might have a slightly different view than Jason on this one. I think conversion rates do matter in the Amazon algorithm with on Amazon ads, but we're allowed to disagree. That's why we're all here and being honest. But from external traffic, I've seen a lot of campaigns for TikTok traffic, super low converting, right? And the case studies I've always seen with people like Rankster, Paul Harvey, and Pendulum ads is that external traffic always seems to help. It would be very, very, very weird if Amazon said, we're going to punish people for bringing traffic to Amazon if it's lowly converting. Because even if it is low converting, maybe they don't buy your product, but now they're on Amazon.com. And maybe they buy a different product. So Jeff Bezos, CEO, everybody at Amazon would be insane to punish any form of traffic that came onto Amazon, because that's the whole goal that they've had to, and that's why they created Amazon attribution in the first place.
I know we said one, but we have just one last question on Amazon attribution. So can you create an attribution link that also boosts a specific keyword? And that's from Jonathan Corbett.
When you create an Amazon attribution Google ad, there are different levels inside the API documentation, and one of them is creative level. So inside of each Google ad, there is a separate URL for each keyword, and that's how you track the creative level, so you can see which keyword's performing well and which one is not. And what we see over time is that if you target either exact or broad match for that keyword inside of Pixelme, you can see the organic rank over time. So that's a really technical answer to say pretty much yes. It is based on the creative level of the exact keyword that you're targeting.
Ooh, baby, let's go. Great session, Clayton, Allie. I'm going to be honest, we didn't even really prepare for a proper dry run. I think we nailed it. But guys, thank you so much for everybody who attended here. Please message us directly. And to the Carbon 6 team, I appreciate you all. You all are such a pleasure to work with. And I learn something every time I talk to you all. So thank you all. Thank you, everybody. And with that, we're signing off.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jason. Wow.